In the mountains of Colorado lives a 30-pound bobcat named Orion, whose golden eyes hold a world of trust. For 3 years, he was inseparable from Alex, the man who rescued him as a dying kitten, until one day his human left. But this time, the hours turned to days. The magnificent predator was reduced to waiting by the door, refusing to eat, slowly giving up hope. A wild heart believed it had been abandoned. Until one quiet evening, something stirred in the gravel outside. A familiar scent. What happens when the front door finally opens again? Prepare yourself. This reunion defies all expectations, proving that family isn't defined by species, but by the unbreakable connections we form. Before we start, hit the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The morning Alex Morrison left for the hospital, he pressed his forehead against Orion's and whispered,
"I'll be back soon, buddy. Just a quick surgery. Nothing to worry about."
The bobcat's golden eyes studied his human's face with that peculiar intensity only wild animals possess, as if he could read the uncertainty Alex tried so hard to hide. It was supposed to be a routine procedure. Remove the tumor on his kidney, spend 2 days recovering, then home. Alex had arranged everything. Margaret Wilson, the veterinary technician who lived next door, would check on Orion twice daily. The security cameras he'd installed throughout the house would let him monitor his unusual companion from his hospital bed. His brother Tom would drive down from Denver if needed. Everything was planned. But Orion didn't understand plans. He only understood that Alex, his Alex, had walked out the door carrying that strange bag and hadn't returned for dinner. Their story had begun 3 years earlier when Alex, a wildlife rehabilitation specialist in his 50s, received a call about an orphaned bobcat kitten found beside a highway in rural Colorado. The mother had been struck by a vehicle, and the 5-week-old kit was dehydrated, malnourished, and suffering from a severe eye infection that had left him partially blind in his right eye.
"He's not going to make it in the wild,"
Dr. Patricia Hernandez had said, examining the tiny creature.
"Even if we heal the infection completely, that vision impairment, he'd never survive."
Alex had taken one look at those wide, frightened golden eyes and made a decision that would change both their lives.
"Then he'll stay with me."
It wasn't a decision made lightly. Alex had the proper licenses, the experience, and most importantly, the space. His property outside Boulder included a specially built enclosure that connected to his house through a secure corridor. He'd cared for injured wildlife before, but always with the goal of release. Orion would be different. Orion would be permanent. The bond formed slowly. For weeks, the bobcat kit hid beneath furniture, emerging only to eat when Alex left the room. But patience was something Alex had in abundance. He'd sit on the floor for hours, reading aloud from veterinary journals, letting Orion grow accustomed to his voice. He'd leave worn shirts near Orion's favorite hiding spots, allowing his scent to become familiar, safe. The breakthrough came on a cold November evening. Alex had dozed off on the living room floor, exhausted from a long day at the rehabilitation center. He woke to find Orion curled against his side, purring with the intensity of a small motor. From that night forward, they were inseparable. But now, on this 7th day of Alex's absence, Orion's world had shrunk to the space between the front door and the window that overlooked the driveway. Margaret had texted Alex photos throughout the week, each one more heartbreaking than the last. Orion at his food bowl, nose touching the kibble but not eating. Orion in Alex's bed, curled around one of his unwashed shirts. Orion at the door, always at the door, waiting.
He's losing weight.
Margaret's latest message read.
I've tried everything. His favorite treats, toys, even brought my cat Oliver over thinking he might want company. Nothing works. He just wants you.
From his hospital bed, Alex watched the security camera feeds obsessively. The surgery had gone well, but complications had arisen. An infection that required IV antibiotics, monitoring that stretched his 2-day stay into a week. His insurance company fought every extension, but Dr. James Thompson, his physician, had advocated fiercely.
You can't go home like this.
Dr. Thompson had insisted on day 5, reviewing Alex's charts.
I know you're worried about your pet, but you need to be healthy enough to care for him.
Pet. The word felt inadequate for what Orion was to him. Companion, family. The being who had pulled him through the darkest period of his life after his wife Linda's death 4 years ago. The one who never asked questions, never offered hollow platitudes, just existed alongside him in their shared grief and eventual healing. On the morning of day 6, Alex noticed something alarming on the camera feed. Orion had stopped his vigilant door watching and retreated to the spare bedroom, Linda's old art studio that Alex had never had the heart to change. The Bobcat lay curled in the corner where Linda used to set up her easel, and he wasn't moving.
Margaret,
Alex had called, his voice tight with panic.
something's wrong with Orion. He's in Linda's room and he's not moving. Can you check on him?
The 20 minutes it took Margaret to arrive felt like hours. Alex watched her enter the house, watched her approach Orion slowly, watched as the Bobcat lifted his head slightly at her presence before lowering it again.
He's okay physically,
Margaret reported, her voice gentle over the phone.
but Alex, I've seen this before in wildlife. He's giving up. He thinks you're not coming back.
Those words hit Alex harder than any diagnosis the doctors had given him. That afternoon, he made a decision. Against medical advice, he signed himself out, promising to return daily for outpatient treatment. Tom drove down from Denver to pick him up, shaking his head the entire way.
You're crazy, you know that?
Tom said, glancing at his brother in the rearview mirror.
Most people would be worried about their dog, maybe their cat. You're rushing home to a bobcat. You don't understand,
Alex replied quietly, watching the familiar mountains come into view.
He saved me after Linda. I can't let him think I've abandoned him.
As they turned onto his property, Alex's heart pounded with anticipation and worry. What if Orion didn't recognize him? What if the week apart had damaged their trust? What if...
Stop overthinking.
Tom said, pulling up to the house.
That cat loves you more than most humans love anything. He'll know you're home.
Alex stepped out of the car slowly, his body still weak from the surgery and infection. Each step toward the front door felt momentous. Through the window, he could see movement. Orion had heard the car. The moment Alex's key turned in the lock, he heard it. A sound between a chirp and a cry. Uniquely Orion's. He pushed open the door to find the Bobcat frozen in the hallway, eyes impossibly wide, pupils dilated to black circles rimmed with gold.
Orion!
Alex called softly.
Hey, buddy, I'm home.
For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Orion exploded into motion. 30 pounds of tawny fur and muscle launching across the distance between them. Alex barely had time to brace himself before Orion collided with his legs, circling him in tight figure eights, rubbing against him with such force that Tom had to steady him.
Easy there.
Tom laughed, but his voice was thick with emotion. Alex sank carefully to his knees, mindful of his surgical site, and Orion immediately pressed against his chest, headbutting him with desperate affection. The bobcat's eyes, still wide with disbelief, blinked slowly as Alex's familiar scent enveloped him.
I'm so sorry,
Alex murmured, burying his face in Orion's fur.
I didn't mean to be gone so long. I'm here now. I'm here.
Orion's response was a purr so deep it seemed to come from the earth itself. He pushed his head under Alex's chin, his whole body vibrating with relief and joy. When Alex tried to stand, Orion refused to move away, weaving between his legs as they made their way to the living room.
I'll put your bags in your room,
Tom offered, clearly moved by the reunion he'd witnessed.
You two need some time.
As Alex settled carefully onto the couch, Orion immediately claimed his lap, all 30 pounds of wild cat determined to maintain physical contact. The bobcat's eyes had returned to their normal size, but they never left Alex's face, as if memorizing every line and shadow.
Margaret said you weren't eating much,
Alex said, stroking the soft fur behind Orion's ears.
We can't have that. What do you say we share some of that venison in the freezer?
At the mention of his favorite treat, Orion's ears perked forward, but he made no move to leave Alex's lap. Food could wait. His human was home. Over the next hours, Tom helped Alex settle back in, bringing him water, medications, and eventually, a plate of reheated soup from Margaret, who had stopped by to check on them.
I've never seen anything like it,
Margaret said, watching Orion shadow Alex's every movement.
He wouldn't let me within 3 feet of him all week, and now look at him. It's like he's trying to merge with you.
Bobcats in the wild are solitary,
Alex explained, his hand never stopping its gentle stroking of Orion's fur.
But Orion's never known the wild. His world is smaller and I'm his territory, I suppose. You're more than that,
Tom interjected from the kitchen.
You're his family, just like he's yours.
As evening settled over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold, Alex reflected on the truth of his brother's words. The living room was filled with the quiet sounds of home. Orion's purring, the tick of Linda's antique clock on the mantel, the distant call of wild turkeys in the canyon below.
You know,
Alex said softly, more to Orion than to Tom.
The doctors kept asking about my support system, about who would take care of me during recovery. I don't think they'd understand if I told them it was a bobcat.
Orion lifted his head at the sound of his voice, those golden eyes meeting his with an intensity that still, after 3 years, took his breath away. In that gaze was something beyond the typical predator-prey dynamic, beyond even the bond between human and domesticated animal. It was recognition, understanding, and yes, love in whatever form a wild heart could offer it.
But you did take care of me,
Alex continued, remembering the dark months after Linda's death when Orion's simple presence had been the only thing that got him out of bed each morning.
and you are taking care of me.
As if in response, Orion stretched, his powerful muscles rippling beneath his coat, before settling even more firmly against Alex's side. One large paw reached out to rest on Alex's arm, claws carefully sheathed, a gesture of possession and protection all at once. Tom left as darkness fell, promising to return the next day to drive Alex to his outpatient appointment. Margaret stopped by once more, bringing groceries and checking both patient and caregiver, satisfied to find them both where they belonged, together. That night, for the first time in a week, Orion ate his full meal, though he insisted on doing so in the bedroom where Alex rested. The bobcat positioned himself between Alex and the door, a guardian against any force that might separate them again.
We're quite a pair, aren't we?
Alex murmured as sleep began to claim him.
A broken-down wildlife specialist and a half-blind bobcat. Not exactly conventional.
Orion's only response was to purr louder, the sound filling the room like a benediction. In the morning, there would be medications to take, appointments to keep, the slow work of healing to continue. But for now, in this moment, they were complete. Two souls who had found in each other the family that fate had taken away, the love that transcended species, and the home that existed not in any structure but in their shared presence. As Alex drifted off to sleep, Orion's eyes remained open, watchful in the darkness. He had spent 7 days learning what loss felt like, 7 days understanding that his world could empty in a heartbeat. But his human had returned, had chosen him over the advice of others, had come home despite pain and weakness. The bobcat's eyes, no longer wide with shock but soft with contentment, finally closed. His vigil was over. Alex was home, and Orion would make sure, with every fiber of his wild heart, that they would never be separated again. In the mountains of Colorado, where the wild meets the tame, where love transcends the boundaries of species, a man and a bobcat slept peacefully, each the guardian of the other's heart. And in that quiet house, filled with the memories of loss and the promise of continued companionship, the true meaning of family wrote itself in purrs and gentle breathing, in the space between wild and domestic, in the extraordinary love between Alex and Orion. Their story would continue, through recovery and health, through the changing seasons and the inevitable passages of time. But this night, this reunion, this moment when wide eyes met familiar ones and recognized home, this would remain forever in their shared memory, a testament to the bonds that can form when we open our hearts to the unexpected, when we choose love over convention, when we understand that family comes in all forms, with 2 legs or 4, with fur or without, wild or tame. And somewhere in the darkness, as if in blessing, a wild bobcat called from the canyon, a sound Orion heard but didn't answer. His wild was here, curled beside him in flannel pajamas, snoring softly in the night. His wild had come home.